So, the training today is all about the call to heal, discovering your soul's purpose. Okay. And so, this is for anybody who feels a deep longing to come into wholeness. If you're tired of frustrations that maybe you've tolerated for a little too long, and that longing and frustration is there, it's really to point you towards what you're really meant for, because it's feedback to let you know something is not aligned. And in this live, I'll be unpacking the collective call that so many empaths and seekers are feeling and how it can guide you into your soul's deeper desires for this lifetime. So I'm going to be sharing with you the real reasons behind the challenges you face and how this one crucial understanding can free you of years and even lifetimes worth of struggle. Okay, so it's a really, really great way to very efficiently come into actual answers and freedom and relief and purpose and alignment with what you're really meant to be doing in this world and who you really are. Understanding the true cause of my challenges has enabled me to heal myself of chronic illness, to know that I'm fully supported in every moment and situation in my life, and to live my higher calling as a healer and as a teacher. So we all have a medicine that we come into the world with, a gifts that we came in here to share, and it's a little bit different for each of us. It's unique to each of us, and it's significant and needed in the world, and it's just for you to share with the world. So answering your calling is one of the most fulfilling and beautiful things that you can do. So I'm going to be sharing with you some very old medicine and wisdom today. And these are lessons of the soul that are intended to speak to not only your mind, but your higher self and your energy. And so as I speak, notice how the words land for you. Notice how they feel in your body and feel the energy of them. I invite you to listen with all of yourself, to lay down any side projects or distractions so that you can fully receive the energetic shifts that are available to you today. And when I talk about old medicine, I talk about an intelligence that is within each of us. This medicine is a part of ancient plant medicine teachers, of energy healers, and healers throughout all of the world, throughout all of time. It's a consciousness that lives within all things. This medicine is part of the spirit that lives within each of us. And I use the word spirit, but you can call it whatever sacred energy you believe in, whether that's God or nature or source or your higher self. It's all good. And the more that we look for this medicine outside of ourselves, the more elusive it's going to become, because we're getting further and further away from where it actually is, which is within you. The medicine is the deepest and truest part of your being. And while you can, and I highly recommend having a guide to help you find this part of yourself, because we can't solve a problem with the same consciousness that created it. A guide can help you shift your perspective and understanding. The healing and the awakening ultimately happens within you. So healers and guides and helpers can help you shift your awareness and understanding to get unstuck in your thinking of the problem. But what really is happening is you coming into another awareness, an awakening of the truth that is within you. So healing doesn't happen to you, it's happening within you. It's happening with you. So why is it so tempting to look for the answers outside of ourselves? We've kind of been trained in society where there's something wrong, I'm going to go to this person who's going to fix me. And that's a lot easier when we put the responsibility on somebody else. But when we're doing that, we're also giving our power away and our awareness away to the capacity that we have to heal within ourselves. And so when we get support with the awareness that we are ultimately our own healer and the solution to any problem, then that is where we can really begin embodying powerful and profound transformation. And why is it so tempting also to look outside of ourselves? It's because the ego doesn't really know itself. The ego is the collection of false perceptions that were created in your childhood and past lifetimes throughout your ancestry, carried forward in your DNA. This is a part of the human condition. And when I say false perceptions, I'm talking about things like I'm not good enough, not worthy, not smart enough, any enough, or about yourself, or about others. Others aren't safe, they're cruel, they're unkind, or about the world. So Einstein said you can learn a lot about someone by asking them, is the universe a friendly place? And it's on that perception that we will find our reality, that the reality that we will believe in is what will be created within our awareness. That's what we will see. Okay? So the ego is the part of us that fears, that feels unworthy, that doubts, resents, hates, sabotages, grieves. This is our humanness. This part of us is only concerned with self-protection. It's not interested in connection, growth, or evolution. Okay? It's not interested in your higher calling or your purpose or any of that. The ego feels separate, and it feels separate from its true self, as well as others and its inherent connection with all of life and all that is that in which it is a part of. Okay? So most of the world is largely identified with their egos. The ego is why countries go to war, hoard resources, sacrifice the many for the good of the few. And the more identified we are with our egos, the more we will struggle physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Okay? And no judgment here. I've been there. We've all been there. We come in and out of there. This is just the part of the human condition and what we've all come here to do, to break through, to evolve from, to evolve beyond. And the good news is there is another way. And that other way is in the very ancient medicine that is your true self. So who you truly are is not limited by the egoic personality. You are a divine being experiencing what it's like to be a human. Your soul is eternal, it's incredibly wise, and it's limitless. And your soul knows how to guide you and navigate any situation in your life. You just have to learn how to listen to it. And in doing so, you have to unlearn the false perceptions and programming that you picked up throughout childhood, past lifetimes, from your ancestry. You have to unlearn that so that you can remember who you truly are, which is a limitless being, which is connected to all that is, a part of all that is, inherently worthy, just like everyone is in existence. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So thinking you're not worthy is like arguing with existence, and that is not a fight you are going to win. So this is the practice of awakening. It's an unlearning the false self and remembering the true self. And it's something that is a practice. It's not a one and done. So people will often have awakenings, and it's this moment of clarity, of remembering who you are, of breaking free of these egoic thoughts and false perceptions. And then another challenge will come at you from life. Life will present you another challenge, and then the ego can get triggered again. It can fall back into those triggers of the false perceptions and beliefs that were formed earlier in your days. And so it's a practice of continuing to heal and release these false perceptions and beliefs and that form the ego, so that you can come back into remembering who you truly are. And doing this with a lot of love and compassion, because the ego is the part of you that's struggling, okay? The ego's on the struggle bus. This is the part of you that feels alone, that feels unsafe, unwanted, unloved, unworthy. What that part needs is love. This is like the inner child, okay? So the more we reject it and push it away and judge it, the more hurt it's going to become, and that's not going to fix the problem. It's really about witnessing it with love as a loving parent and guiding your younger self from the wisdom of your higher self. And when you become identified with the ego as your younger self, asking your higher self for guidance. So the ego is also the one that sabotages us. And the smarter that you are, the more sneaky your inner saboteur can be. So Eckhart Tolle talks about the backdoor ego. So people who've done a lot of spiritual work and had a lot of spiritual growth, they can fall into feelings of superiority, of being more enlightened than others, being better. And the ego is the part that feels inferior or superior. Your soul knows that all is equal, all is connected. But any time, any thought that creates a feeling of separateness, inferiority, or superiority, this is the ego. Judgments, anger, resentment, frustrations, this is the ego firing, okay? And when the ego fires, it can sabotage you from something that you might actually want in your life. So if you've made a decision, I'm going to follow my calling, I'm going to follow my higher purpose, all of these things will come up. All of these forms of resistance can come up that can try to sabotage you from having that. Why is that? Because the ego doesn't like change. It wants things to stay the same because it believes that the same is safe. Even when the same is feeling limited, small, and stuck. Your mind will try to protect you from what it doesn't know by staying in what causes you pain. Okay? That's where the saboteur comes up. And yeah, and Sharon, just looking lovingly at that. Like, we all have an inner saboteur, but the most beautiful thing you can do with that is write down, okay, in what ways does my ego sabotage me? In what ways does self-sabotage show up in my life? It could look like overwhelm, shutdown, checking out, Netflix, video games, just feeling exhausted when you go to do the things that are going to move you towards what you want. It can feel like anger and resentment. It can feel like feeling unworthy and scared and hiding. So there's lots of ways it can show up. And it's not that your mind is trying to intentionally sabotage you. It's trying to protect you from something it doesn't feel safe. Okay? And so when that happens, write down all the ways it happens so you can become aware of it, so that you can make the unconscious conscious. And that's really where we have free will, is when we become conscious of what is unconscious, because when we are aware of it, then we can make the decision to change it. Okay, beautiful. Okay, diving back in. So part of the practice of awakening is learning to recognize when the ego is firing and when you're in old programming and false perceptions. So you will recognize it as any form of stress, shutting down, becoming hyperactive, angry, depressed, obsessive, looping thoughts, or negative sensations or emotions in your body. This is anything that causes stress in your life is the result of a trigger which comes from the ego. Okay? And anything that prevents you from moving forward from what it is you intended to do. So for example, perhaps you decided, all right, I'm going to heal myself. I'm going to start working with this healer. You join a program and all of a sudden there's this firing of, oh no, I don't want to go to class. That's the ego trying to protect you from change. Oh my gosh, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't think I really wanted to ever do it in the first place. That's the ego that's coming up to sabotage. And that's okay. It's to be expected. This is anytime you make a strong decision, and it always starts with the decision for what you want. When you make that decision, that's going to fire the ego, your self-protective mechanisms, to try to keep you the same. And it's okay. Just recognize when that happens. Send it love. It's just a part of you that doesn't feel safe, and continue moving forward. All right. Beautiful. And so I invite you to think of what is like your highest intended outcome in your life right now. Because if you haven't yet made that decision, then it's hard to know when the ego is firing, and it's hard to really move towards what you want, and it can kind of more fall into what everyone else wants and kind of feel like there's no boundaries, and that can be a symptom of not knowing what is it that you really want. And this can be for a specific situation in your life, like perhaps do something you've been struggling with and your mind has been showing you lots of images of what you don't want to happen. I invite you to think about, how do I want this to go? What is my highest intended outcome in this situation? And what will I see, sense, and feel when it has happened? And visualizing that happening now, what will that look and feel like for me? And this could be a broader intended outcome for your soul too. This could be, I intend to know myself, my true self, and to live as my true self in this lifetime. This is my highest intended outcomes, to live as my authentic self, to share my gifts, to follow my calling, to live my calling in this lifetime. And that can be a beautiful intention. And so when you declare that, it's okay if you don't know exactly what that looks like yet. That's pretty common. It starts with a decision, and then the steps will be shown to you. Okay? But it starts with a decision. And then you can begin imagining What will I see, sense, and feel when that's happening? What will that look like? Because your intention is everything. Whatever you point your intention to, and it could be what I don't want to happen, or it could be what is my highest intention for this? What do I want to happen? And then you've shifted your focus into creating what you want instead of what you don't want. Grief. Yeah. Yeah. So grief is often, Sharon, it's natural. It's part of our humanness. And it also is tied to the ego. There's some sort of perception that is untrue there. And so if it's grief of loss, it could be the perceived loss of love of a loved one. But then I invite you to ask yourself, is it true that that love is really lost? Is it true that that thing I'm grieving is truly lost? And there's no right or wrong answers here. It's just inviting in, there's some perception there that's creating that pain. And this is our humanness, and it's okay to have our humanness, and it's beautiful and healthy to grieve as well. We are limitless beings, and we are also having a human experience. But the calling, the higher calling that each of us can have is to heal and release the false self, to dissolve the ego, the untrue perceptions about yourself, life, and others, and to unlearn this part of you and heal the parts of you that feel unsafe, and to remember and embody your true limitless self and live as that you in this life. And that's where you bring heaven to earth. You bring your divine self into this body and life here and now. And then there's pretty much nothing you can't do. And there's so much beauty and healing and light and wisdom that you can share with the world. And you can all do this. This is within each of our capacity because it is who you truly are. Okay? And so this is something that's calling to you. This is what we do in the Medicine Within Academy. This is where you learn how to heal yourself and others. It's a certification program where you learn these very, very old ancient medicines, how to connect with your body, how to have a conversation with your body, how to shift your energy, how to come into who you truly are and live as that version of you. And doing it with community, doing it with love, doing it with very powerful ancient and modern techniques for healing that honor the nervous system, that are trauma informed, that work with the conscious and subconscious mind. So if that calls to you, you can click on a discovery call, and this is a 30-minute chat to see if we're a good fit. And if you book that call today and decide to join Medicine Within Academy, then you also get a free one-on-one session with me. So I will drop the link for that in the chat. And if you have any questions, let me know. And thank you so much for being here. Sending you so much love. And I invite you just to fill up with the energy of your higher self. And any challenge that you've been facing, something that's been top of mind for you lately, just inviting in the energy of your higher self and white light to cleanse your energy. And just asking your higher self, what would I do? What should I do? What should I do next? And you can get that as a feeling, as a sensation in your body, as a knowing, as an image, as a hearing answers, words in your mind. However you receive that is perfect. Maybe you receive it right away. Maybe you receive it a little bit later. But just let yourself begin asking your higher self, what should I do? And if you feel called to join, I would ask your higher self, should I schedule a clarity call? My guides work with a lot of other people's guides, and we end up connecting in the most synchronistic way. So I would check in with your higher self. If you're feeling called to do that, then do that. And I'm happy to chat with you. Thank you, Sharon. Sending you all so much love. Thank you for being here. Have a beautiful rest of your day and talk soon.